Good morning. Today we are working on, I'm trying to open up the right binder. Today we are working on CO36, starting our next unit in math. So for this next unit, we are starting with CO36. I can interpret and write mathematical and algebraic expressions with addition and subtraction. So there's a lot that we just packed into that one short objective. So interpret and write mathematical and algebraic expressions with addition or subtraction. So what operations are we going to be using today?
Addition and subtraction.
Addition and subtraction. What is an expression? We know we're going to be adding or subtracting, but what is an expression? So in order to do this objective, we need to understand the difference between an expression and an equation. So an expression is just a mathematical statement. There is no equal sign. So when it's just the expression, there's no equal sign. We are not doing the math. We are writing the expression. So translating a verbal phrase into a mathematical expression or vice versa can be difficult because it's almost like going from one language to another. Knowing what pickle is in Spanish is like knowing which operation difference represents. So we're going to fill out this chart that you will be able to have on your help sheet for when we test. So this is an important chart. We're going to fill it out so we can understand and learn the different words and terms. So if we're adding, for addition, there are different words that mean adding. So when we read our word problems, we're looking for those key words to clue us in. Are we going to add or are we going to subtract? Does anybody know any words that mean add? Jimena? Some. If it's asking you for the sum, we know we're going to be adding. Any other word that anybody knows? If it asks you for the total, we know we need to add them together. And if it says plus, we know we are adding. So those are keywords that we need to listen for, so we know that we need to add. Now we have subtraction. Madison?
What about for addition? Wouldn't it be like increase as one of them?
We have to be careful with that because it depends on the other words that go along with it. It could also, depending on how it's used, it might mean multiply. Because multiply, you're going up also. So increase, we have to be careful with how it's being used. Subtraction. Lilia.
The difference?
The difference. I am going to put increase by. So for the addition, we can put increase by. Zelda.
Minus.
Minus. Jimena. Sorry. Less than. So we have less than and subtracted from. We have to be careful with those two because, and I'm putting little stars by those, because they're going to make us set up our expression differently. It does have to do with subtraction, but I'm going to show you where it gets tricky. We have another one, subtracted. Oh, we've got subtracted. So this one would be subtracted from versus subtracted by. Subtracted from and subtracted by are different. Okay? Remember that a number is, when we say a number, it means it's unknown. We don't know what the number is. So we're going to use our variable. You could use any letter. So when we want to say a number, I like to use the first letter of the word. So I like to use N because number starts with an N. So I like to use N as my variable. You could use any variable you want, letter-wise. Any letter is a variable. So any letter of the alphabet, like I said, I usually use N for number. It doesn't matter in what order numbers are added. 7 plus 3, you get 10. Just like 3 plus 7, you get 10. But subtraction, it does matter. That's why I said subtracted from and subtracted by. It matters which number comes first. So we have to really stop and think about what it's telling us. 10 minus 8 is 2, but 8 minus 10 is negative 2. Different places on our number line. So we want to be careful with those. So, subtracted from and less than. We're going to see how those work. I'm going to scroll up. And we're going to write each word phrase as a mathematical expression. We're not going to do the whole front side. We're going to do some of them. And then you're going to do some on your own because on the back side, we're doing the opposite. They're giving us the mathematical expression and we're going to put it in a word phrase. So we're going to do a few of these, this top row, and then you're going to have homework is working on the rest. So let's look. If it says 58 more than 13, how do you think I would write that expression? Zelda?
58 plus 13 or 13 plus 58?
Yeah. You could write it either way and it would be acceptable. But if we really think about what it's telling us, 58 more than 13, technically it would be this way. But either way we get the same answer, so I'll accept it either way. Jimena? Yeah, the next one says 82 subtracted from 101. So how would I write that?
101 minus.
Very good. This is one of those tricky ones where here I said it could go either way. You could put 58 first, you could put 13 first. But on this one, we cannot put 82 first. We have to have 82 subtracted from 101. So 101 has to be first, subtract the 82. Madison?
So we don't have to answer it?
Is there an equal sign?
Nope.
No. So what we are working on in this objective is understanding the words and what the words are telling us. There is no equal sign. We do not have to put an answer. Let's look at that last one in this row. The difference of a number and 25. How would I write that? Any guesses? Layla? It is going to be minus because it says difference. Now remember, if it says a number, do we know what the number is? No, so we're going to put a variable. I like to use N to stand for number. You could put A, you could put X, whatever letter you want to put for your variable. How do we write that in our expression, Melanie? So the difference of a number and 25, what do you think is going to go first, Melanie? Yeah. We're going to put the number first and then 25. The difference of a number and 25. So you put it in order unless it's that subtracted from or less than. Those are the only times you have to flip it. Otherwise, we go in order. A number minus 25. Here, because it was subtracted from, we have to subtract the 82 away from 101. So that's why we put 101 first. So only if it's subtracted from or less than do we flip our order. Otherwise, we always go in order of the numbers that are given to us. Any questions on these ones? Let's do one more. So we'll just do one more. 19 less than a number. What do you think, Dom?
19 minus number.
So if it's 19 minus n, right? So that's the number. If our number was 25 and we want 19 less than it, if we say 19 minus 25, is that going to tell us 19 less than 25? Now remember, less than and subtracted from are the two times that we flip them. Because otherwise we're going to say 25 less than 19 if we wrote it that way. So we would want to do, oops, I'm using 25 as an example, but we don't know what our number is. We want 19 less than the number. So when we see less than and subtracted from, that's why I put a little star next to them in our table. So in your table, star those two, less than and subtracted from, star it so you know you have to flip them. Otherwise, we go in order. Does that make sense? Let's look at how we do it on the second page. So on the second page, it says, write each mathematical expression as the word phrase. So now we're going to use our words. So it says 801 minus 475. How could I write that out? Melanie?
475 subtracted from 801.
475 subtracted from 801. Is that the only way I could write out that expression? Is that the only way? No, look up at that table. We had all those words. You could use any of those words. So what's another way that I could say this expression with words? Liam?
801 minus 475.
801 minus 475 means the same thing. So you could put it, and this isn't one where this is the only right answer. You do have to be careful if you're using subtracted from and less than. You have to make sure that you're putting it in the correct order. Right, so we have 475 subtracted from 801. Or you put 801 minus 475. Let's do the next one, n minus 12. What is another way that we could say that? Sawyer?
15 plus n.
So it's n, and then a subtraction sign, and then 12. Oh, you went down. Yeah, let's go across.
N less than 12?
If, remember, less than is like subtracted from. Those two, we have to flip it. So if we want to use less than, we would say 12 less than n. So if it's less than or subtracted from, we have to flip it backwards. What's another way we could say this? Jimena?
The difference of the number and 12.
The difference of a number and 12. And actually up here, I shouldn't say and, I should say number. I need to write it out. 12 less than a number. So you're not going to use the variable in the expression when we're writing out, you're going to use a number. So the difference of a number and 12 So we know it's that number. We're subtracting away the 12. Does that make sense? Any question? Is it important to go back and look back at your table so you know the words that you've got less than and subtracted from starred? So we know that those two have to go the opposite direction when we're writing it out. Then we have answering our questions, which is greater, the sum of 5 and 15 or the difference of 30 and 9. What I do when I solve these is I actually write out the expressions and I figure it out so you know for sure. So the sum of 5 and 15, I know sum means add, so 5 plus 15 I know is 20. The difference of 30 and 9, difference means I subtract. 30 minus 9 is 21. We want to know which one is greater. So I'm going to circle the greater one. So for these word problems, even though there's not an equal sign, you do have to do the math to answer the question. So put down the answer for each of them. I wrote it as an expression. Then I put the answer so I could see which one was greater. So Madison, when we get to the word problems at the bottom, you do have to do the math. Any questions on these ones? Okay, I'm gonna give us some quiet work time, and then in a little bit, we're gonna make the video for our math packet. So I'm gonna give us some time to do some work time, and then I'm going to do the video for the math packet. That is due next week, Tuesday. So if you are watching this elsewhere, we hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.